Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is having an excellent day. Today I would like to talk about pentatonics. Haven't you heard that before? But pentatonics in a way that I hope a lot of my students will help. Because I get guys and girls in here who have been playing for decades. And they usually come in with the message, I'm stuck in pentatonics. And I understand that because that's something that we all have maybe encountered at one time or another. But when I investigate a bit further, it's usually the case that they're not stuck in pentatonics, they are stuck in one pentatonic box or maybe two. And that's where they are really stuck. It's a very common thing, and if you find yourself in that situation, welcome to the club. So don't get alarmed. But first of all, let's talk about the 5 pentatonic boxes before we go to the rest of the lesson. So 5 pentatonic boxes that everybody should know, and if you don't know, you have to stop this video and Google and try to find some lessons about the 5 pentatonic boxes, because you will need them. For this lesson I will focus on A minor pentatonic because that's the most commonly used, and I hope everybody will know that one. So the first position is this one, and then the second position slightly less known, and the third position even weirder. The fourth position most people know. It's an easy one because the A minor chord sits in there really nicely. And then the final one, don't try to figure out the 5 pentatonic boxes from what I just played, because I can't zoom in close enough to the camera, but there's loads of YouTube channels that will explain you how to do that. For this lesson, the important bit is that you should know them, and not just know them one at a time, but you have to know how to connect them. There's a few standard connections that are part of the pentatonic licks, like connecting the first and the second one, and connecting the first one and the fifth one on the way down. This is the fifth one, the lower 2 strings, and this is back to the first one. So these are actually 3 pentatonic boxes. The first one, the second one, and the fifth one, but only connected via 2 or 3 strings. The first thing I suggest you to do is connect all 5 pentatonic boxes on just 2 strings, like this. The first one, go to the second. The third one. Fourth one, and the fifth. Back to the first. And then really slowly work your way up to the lower strings, whereas eventually, and again slowly, you can connect all 5 of them and focus so that you exactly know what you're doing all the time. Again, for this exercise, we're not aiming for the most beautiful licks, we're just technically trying to connect 5 pentatonic boxes. This is the first thing you should know. Only when you know how to do this, we can advance. Practice this in all 12 keys all over the neck. No, that is a joke. That is, I think, the #1 sentence to put off anybody. And I've seen this in so many courses, and in the beginning I was really like demotivated by that. Now I just laugh when I see that. I think just a bad idea to tell somebody to learn something totally new in 12 keys all over the fretboard. I mean, this is a job you can't begin to fathom. So that doesn't work, and it's absolutely not necessary. And when we play guitar, you have to look at what kind of guitar player you are. Do you play in a band? Focus on the keys and the stuff that you have to play in the band. If you write raw material, you can decide if it's in A or in E or in D flat. It's your choice. If you're a home player and you want to be really good at playing over some changes, you can decide which changes you want to play over and want to be really good at. And if you find enjoyment by playing over A minor for months on end, using all the pentatonics that we will talk about later, perfectly fine. Don't get stressed about all the other keys, because eventually, once you get really comfortable with playing over A minor or E minor or any of the other ones that we'll talk about later, the knowledge of playing over other keys or other chords will sneak in anyway. So once you've done that, once you've mastered that in A minor, just in one key, you are ready to go to the next step. Okay, first of all, why are pentatonics so useful? Well, we have to start from the beginning, which is from a scale. A scale is a 7-note series of notes that brings you from the root note to the next root note. If you look at it from the root note A, and we have a minor scale, and for this purpose I've written down the Dorian scale of A, which are actually the same notes as G major, but you start from the second note, the A, and you just go from A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, back to A. Why did I choose the Dorian scale? Because if a minor chord is static, which means it stays for a long time, it could be a groove in A minor, or it could be part of a chord progression, but it stays on that A minor for a certain period of time, you want to avoid playing notes that are one step higher than any of the chord notes. So the chord notes from A minor, if it's triad, it's A, C, and E. If it's a 4-note chord, we add the G, which is then the 7th. So A, C, E, and G. If you look at the natural minor scale from A, that will be a Aeolian, the 6th degree in C. We have a regular F, and a regular F is 1/2 step higher than the E. The E is in the chord, so that might clash a bit with the chord. So therefore, if it's a static A minor chord, we usually play Dorian, and then avoid that natural F by bringing it to an F sharp, and then we have no notes in our scale that will clash with our chord notes, because there is no note half a step above any of the chord notes. That is the reason. So a Dorian scale sounds good over an A minor or an A minor 7 chord. Now I look at scales as sort of being the letters of an alphabet. If you run the scale up and down, it sounds like you're just calling out characters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you're not really making words. So the information may be correct, the notes are correct, they don't clash or sound out of tune, but the things you will say may not sound as interesting. I mean, they're all exceptions, of course. Running up and down a Phrygian dominant scale is sometimes just what you need. But more often than not, it is not the most interesting way to play over changes or play over a chord. And that's why playing triads sound more interesting, because triads are only 3 notes. The notes are usually not next to each other. There's a gap or a note in between that we don't play, and therefore it sounds more like words. So playing the A minor triad over an A minor chord, you actually play just the chord tones, but because of the fact you don't run up and down the scale, it sounds more interesting. Now, playing arpeggios can be 3 notes, like in a triad, or 4 notes, like in a 4-note chord. In A, that would be A, C, E, and G. In A minor, excuse me. What if we add another note? So we got 3 notes for the triad, we got 4 notes for the 4-note chord. If we add another note, we have 5 notes. In Latin, 5 is penta, hence the word pentatonic. Which means you have your 4 notes that are in the chord, in this case A, C, E and G, and we add another one. In a standard A minor pentatonic scale, we add a D, which is the 4th of the chord. If you look at the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the 4th or the 11th, depends on if you want to consider it as a tension or part of the chord. In this case, I would consider this as part of the chord, and therefore the D is a 4th. So that adds another flavor. Nice. If you learn licks in A minor pentatonic, I mean there's plenty of the rock and roll history is filled with licks in A minor pentatonic or any other pentatonic for that matter, you will speak words. People will sort of understand them, they will make sense, people will recognize words, licks, that's all good. The only thing with playing A minor pentatonic over an A minor chord is that sonically you don't add a lot of extra to the menu. I mean, remember the basic menu is the chord notes. We've now added one extra note, which is D, which is fine, but it is something that we've heard a million times before. And this is where pentatonic substitution comes in handy. If we look at the idea of we have 5 notes, of which one is an extra note that is not in the chord, what would happen if we have 2 notes that are extra and not in the chord? Well, since we have 5 notes, if we want to have 2 extra notes, we must lose 1 note from the arpeggio in order to be able to fit the extra note in the pentatonic. So we want 5 notes, 2 of them new to the chord and 3 already in the chord. If you look at E minor pentatonic, E is a 5th above A, which is E, G, A, B and D. Let's look at those notes individually. The first one is an E, which is in the chord of A. That will not clash, so that will work. The second note is a G. It's in the chord of A minor 7, and I will refer to the chord as a 4-note chord from now on, so A minor 7. The third note in an E minor pentatonic is A, which is handy because it's our root. The 4th note is a B. Now there's a new note. We didn't have a B before in our A minor pentatonic, and it's the 9th degree on A, or the 2nd degree. In this case I would call it the 2nd degree, but usually it's referred to as the 9th. A 9th or a 2nd on an A minor, on a minor chord sounds really nice, so that is good. It's a new note, it's handy. And the 5th one is D, which we already had in our A minor pentatonic. So it's a new note to the chord, but it's not a new note in our pentatonic idea. So compared to the A minor pentatonic, we have 1 extra note, the B, the 9th, and we lose 1, the C. The C is the 3rd in our chord, so we lose the 3rd, but we have the 9th. If you play E minor pentatonic over an A minor 7 chord, it sounds more interesting because you have that 9th. Let's quickly listen to that. So this is your A minor. Now we go to E minor, and we're using the 4th shape, box. So straight away you can hear that it sort of opens up the whole environment by that B. It is A minor pentatonic, but now we've replaced the C with a B. Some people say, well, you can add the 2 pentatonics together and make a new 6-note scale using the A minor pentatonic and adding that B from the E minor pentatonic, and then it sounds like this. Technically speaking, it's all fine, but from a memorization point of view and from a melodic construction point of view, I find it quite dangerous, because you are now playing a 6-note scale, which is not too far remote from a 7-note scale where we started from, which was the Dorian scale, And where I said in the beginning, it might sound too scalic, too much running up and down a scale or the alphabet. And that is the risk with these kind of combined pentatonics. You run the risk of running up and down a scale again. And if you would do this process one step further, and I will show you in a minute, we could end up with a 7-note scale, because we've added another new note, and then we're back with the Dorian scale where we started, which was something we tried to avoid. So what I do, I think of jumping from A minor pentatonic to E minor pentatonic all the time. And it may end up sounding just like, but in my mind I will have shifted from A minor pentatonic to E minor pentatonic, which gives me a different route through the fretboard, and therefore keeps them sort of separated, so that I know when I'm going for that E minor pentatonic, and therefore going for that B, which is not the same as when I play a 6-note scale and the B is in there. We could take this process one step further and go up another fifth and play the B minor pentatonic on an A minor 7 chord. The B minor pentatonic has got the notes B, D, E, F sharp and A. So let's look at them. B is not in the chord of A minor 7, but we've already met that chord, that note in our E minor pentatonic scale, so that's the same as before. D, same thing, we had that in the E minor and the A minor pentatonic, so it's actually in the A minor pentatonic. E is a chord note and is in all the pentatonics that we've talked about before. F sharp, now here we go, is our 6th, which was not in any of the previous pentatonic scales, so this is the new note, the 6th, and then the last one is an A again, which is our root. So if you play a B minor pentatonic, we again add another new note. It adds the B that we had with our E minor pentatonic, and on top of that it offers us F sharp, which is the 6th. And of course we have to lose one note from the A minor pentatonic scale. That is in this case the G, the 7th of the chord. So the B minor pentatonic sounds even more remote, because we have 2 notes that are not in the A minor pentatonic scale and 1 note that is not in the chord. So actually from the chord we only have the A and the E, so the root and the 5th. So this sounds further away from A minor than any of the previous pentatonic scales, but it sounds really nice. With the E minor pentatonic, we stay in the sort of A minor pentatonic world, and we add a flavor, the 9th, which is really nice. With the B minor pentatonic, we're sort of shifting away a bit from the A minor pentatonic world, because that F sharp is quite there. But still it works. Technically you could continue this process, but you will only have in the end only 1 note from the chord or from the A minor pentatonic scale, and it will sound too remote, too alien. I think going from A minor to E minor to B minor is more than enough to get you going on this advanced pentatonic path. Okay, and as I said before, if we would combine all these pentatonics into one scale, we would have the A Dorian scale again, because we started with A minor pentatonic, we've added the 9th, and now we've added the 6th, so this is the full Dorian scale. So if we combine them, but that's where the problem lies. If we combine them, we're back with our Dorian scale, which is something we didn't want because that sounds too scaly. So combining the scales, the pentatonic scale, is not one of my favorites. But jumping in your head from one to the other is, because then you sort of, every time you jump to a new minor pentatonic, you sort of create a slightly new world.
He's amazing. Pat's amazing at all the Mo stuff, you know, and that is.
You like that thing?
It's an incredible thing to master.
And going from one to the other is fine, because then it will sound interesting. So there you have it, guys. Minor Pentatonics 101. If you find this a challenge, perfect. Do this. Practice all 5 minor pentatonic boxes in A, and then do it in E, do it in D, and do it in B. I mean, there aren't that many minor pentatonic shapes you have to know. If you go to a jam, the occasions that somebody will call out, let's play a funky thing in C flat minor, chances are slim. C flat's not too bad actually, because it's B, and we've just talked about B. But usually it's A or it's E, I mean guitar keys. So there you go, practice your 5 pentatonic shapes, then connect them together, and this will be more difficult once you go to a different tonality. So connecting the A minor pentatonic boxes will in the beginning not be too bad, but if you do the same thing in E minor pentat, it might be a bit difficult in the beginning. But that's where you put your brain to work, and then do the same with B minor and D minor. Once you've connected them, look at this, look at stuff you play, put on a groove, and try to, the moment you see an opportunity to play a minor pentatonic, take the one a fifth above that and explore with the one a second above that. Do it step by step, being able to jump from one to the other in your head and in your fingers is a massive improvement. So there you go, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, just put them in the comment section. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.